Every morning, Charles would wake up feeling like he was breathing through a straw. At 72, he'd grown used to many of the little aches and pains that come with age, but this constant nasal congestion and the pressure in his head were just too much to bear. His wife often teased him that he sounded like a freight train at night, and during the day he always had a pocket full of tissues. If you've ever woken up with a blocked nose, struggling to breathe, your head heavy and your eyes burning, you know just how miserable it feels. For Charles, it meant restless nights, groggy mornings, and relying on sprays and pills that never seemed to solve the problem and often made it worse. One morning, after yet another sleepless night, he stumbled across a simple remedy that completely changed everything. A fresh, vibrant drink made with just a few fruits and vegetables he already had in his kitchen. He tried it, and within 10 minutes he felt his sinuses open up. He could breathe again. Today I want to share this easy natural remedy with you, along with a few simple tips so you too can finally wake up feeling clear, rested, and ready to enjoy your day. Before we get to the recipe, it helps to understand why so many people, especially as we age, suffer from stubborn nasal congestion and sinus problems that seem to never quite go away. What Charles learned and what nutritionists and doctors have come to agree on is that what we eat has a much bigger impact on sinus health than we may realize. You see, your sinuses are lined with delicate tissues that can become inflamed and swollen when exposed to certain foods and irritants. When that happens, the airways narrow, the mucus thickens, and it becomes harder and harder to breathe comfortably. One of the biggest culprits: dairy products. Milk, cheese, ice cream, these are all known to stimulate excess mucus production in many people. Charles loved his evening ice cream and added cheese to just about everything. He never once thought it could be tied to his stuffy nose. Sugar and refined white flour can also worsen inflammation throughout the body, making sinus swelling even worse. And of course, processed meats, salty packaged snacks, and fast food don't do your sinuses any favors either. When Charles decided to make a change, he started by cutting back on dairy and processed foods. He didn't give them up overnight, just reducing them made a noticeable difference within days. Experts also recommend avoiding tobacco smoke and minimizing alcohol, which can dry out and irritate your nasal passages. The good news is, when you cut back on what some call offending foods, your body finally has a chance to heal. Inflammation starts to ease, and natural remedies like the juice I'm about to share with you can finally do their job. So instead of reaching for another nasal spray or a bottle of pills, take a moment to think about what you're feeding your body. You may be surprised how much of a difference even a few simple changes can make. Now let's talk about the star of this story: the simple natural juice that gave Charles his first good night's sleep in months. This remedy is a bright, refreshing drink made from just a handful of ingredients. Not only does it help relieve nasal congestion quickly, it's also packed with vitamins and antioxidants that support your overall health and strengthen your immune system. Why does this combination work so well? Carrots are rich in beta-carotene, which your body converts into vitamin A, a nutrient that helps keep the tissues in your nose and sinuses healthy and reduces inflammation. Oranges add a burst of vitamin C, which boosts your immunity and helps fight off infection. Green apple adds just the right amount of natural sweetness along with fiber and antioxidants. And if you choose to include ginger, it adds a mild anti-inflammatory punch, helping soothe those swollen sinus passages even further. Together, these simple ingredients create a powerhouse juice that not only helps you breathe easier, it gives your body the nutrients it needs to stay healthy. Charles was skeptical at first. After all, how could a glass of juice compete with all those sprays and pills he'd been taking for years? But he decided to try it. Within about 10 minutes of drinking it, he felt his sinuses opening up. The pressure in his head eased, and for the first time in months, he could take a deep, full breath through his nose. And the best part: this juice doesn't just cover up the symptoms, it helps your body actually recover and stay healthier over time. Here's how you can make it yourself at home. You don't need any fancy equipment, just a blender or juicer, a sharp knife, and a cutting board. You'll need 2 medium carrots peeled and chopped, 2 oranges peeled and separated into sections, 1 green apple cored and cut into pieces, and a small piece of fresh ginger about the size of your thumbnail if you'd like to add it. Start by washing all the fruits and vegetables thoroughly. Peel and chop the carrots into chunks that will blend easily. Peel the oranges and break them into pieces. Core the green apple and cut it into chunks. And if you're using ginger, you can peel it or just rinse it and slice off a small piece. Place all the ingredients into your blender. Add a splash of water if you'd like it a little thinner. Blend on high until everything is smooth. If you prefer a more juice-like texture, you can strain it through a fine mesh sieve, but many people drink it just as it is to get the fiber. Pour it into a glass and enjoy it right away. That's when the nutrients are at their peak. It takes just a few minutes to make, and you can easily add it to your morning or evening routine. Sometimes the most powerful proof comes not from experts, but from people just like you. One of our readers, Margaret from Ohio, shared her story with us. When her grandson Ethan was about 6, he started waking up every morning crying. His little nose was so stuffed he could barely breathe through it. They tried sprays, they tried a humidifier, nothing really helped. Margaret came across this juice recipe one evening. She already had the ingredients in her kitchen, so she decided to give it a try. She began making it for Ethan every evening before bed. The first morning he woke up without crying, she said she could hardly believe it. He could actually breathe through his nose. The next morning was even better, and by the end of the week, the congestion was gone. Margaret also started cutting back on the dairy in his diet, switching his bedtime milk to almond milk, and skipping the cheese on his sandwiches. Now she says with a smile, Ethan calls it his magic juice. Stories like Margaret's and Charles's remind us that sometimes the simplest solutions really can make the biggest difference, especially when you combine them with a little care and attention to what you eat. For those of you who may be dealing with more stubborn sinus issues, here are a few extra tips you can try alongside the juice and dietary changes. Adding a garlic oil supplement can be very helpful. Garlic has natural antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties which can help your body fight off sinus infections. It's also a good idea to include probiotics in your diet, whether it's a daily serving of yogurt with live cultures or a probiotic capsule. Many people don't realize that gut health and inflammation throughout your body, including your sinuses, are closely connected. And here's a little bedtime trick: drink a glass of water with just a pinch of Celtic sea salt before you go to sleep. This helps keep your nasal passages from drying out overnight and can reduce that stuffy, heavy feeling in the morning. Charles found that adding these habits along with the juice and dietary changes gave him the lasting relief he'd been searching for. And there's another little surprise benefit he noticed. As he continued his new routine, his eyesight seemed to get sharper. Carrots, after all, are famously rich in beta-carotene, which your body converts into vitamin A. Vitamin A is crucial for healthy eyes, especially as we age. It helps keep your corneas clear and your night vision strong. Charles started noticing that reading the morning paper was easier. His wife even commented that he wasn't squinting as much. It's just another reminder that when you feed your body what it truly needs, the benefits often go far beyond what you expect. If you take just one thing from this story, let it be this: healing takes time, but it is absolutely worth the effort. The juice is simple to make. The dietary changes can happen little by little at your own pace, but together they can make a real difference in how you feel. Charles didn't fix his sinus problems overnight, and neither did Margaret with her grandson. But by sticking with it, drinking the juice regularly, cutting back on the foods that were making things worse, and adding a few simple habits, they both found the relief they'd been longing for. And so can you. Be kind to yourself. Take it one day at a time. And before long, you may just find yourself waking up feeling clearer, lighter, and ready to enjoy each day. You deserve to feel your best, and you are never too old to start.